I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. This week on the Rough Draft Diaries, we're talking to Judy Lee Troutman. She's the chair and one of the founders of the Multi-Faith Council of Northwest Ohio.
The Multi-Faith Council is an official nonprofit that has as its goal and mission to draw together the diverse faith communities in Toledo in education to learn about each other, in fellowship to break bread with one another, especially so that we can find common ground to do community service in an engaged way.
The council organizes educational events, banquets, meetings, and service projects all centered around their mission to promote respect and understanding among the community. But the Multi-Faith Council wasn't actually nominated for this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries. Instead, a program that the council participates in and administers was nominated. It's called the Compassion Games. There's a bit of a history to it, so we'll jump right in. This whole thing got started from a TED Talk. It was a presentation given by Karen Armstrong.
Karen Armstrong is a scholar in world religions. She's written well over 20 books. She did a TED Talk in 2008 in which she proclaimed that compassion was the kernel of all of faiths. And she asked for the wisdom leaders of all the faith traditions to create a charter for compassion. And they responded in tens of thousands of ideas. Seattle got the bright idea to declare itself a compassionate city. And its goal was to foster other compassionate communities. And so pretty quickly we decided as a council to start the work towards becoming declared and defined as a compassionate community.
So in response to Karen Armstrong's call to compassion, Seattle decides to be declared a compassionate city and hopes to encourage other cities to make the same commitment to compassion. Toledo accepts this challenge and also becomes declared a compassionate city, which, by the way, is fairly simple to do. You have to have the official endorsement of the city, and you also have to set long-range goals toward your commitment to compassion. Other cities have joined this compassion bandwagon: Atlanta, Denver, Huntington Beach, Winston-Salem, Santa Monica. There's about 35 cities who have signed on to this charter. Another one would be Louisville. Louisville has not only signed up to be a part of the Compassion Charter, but has also sent out yet another challenge to other cities to see who is the most compassionate. And that's how the Compassion Games got started.
It's a kind of fun way to do a serious thing, and that's to, at various times of the year, take the pulse of the compassionate action of your community. And this year they were played from September 9th through the 24th, which is a little bit longer than usual. So we track the different organizations and people that are doing the work. We count the number of volunteers in that window. We count the number of volunteer hours in that window. We try to guesstimate at the reach, how many people this affects. That's easier with some games than others. And we also track dollars raised if that particular game does so.
So the games are not really games, but they're organizations and individuals creating compassionate actions within the community. It could be a service project, a community event, anything. The only requirement to have your event considered a compassion game would be to have the event fall within the time frame that the compassion games occur. And Judy emphasized this multiple times. She doesn't believe that these compassionate actions and events are happening within the community strictly for or because of the compassion games, but instead the games simply monitor the compassion that already exists within the city.
I think that the asset is that it truly is a compassionate community. And I'm very honored to meet some of the people who are boots on the ground and doing just incredible work in all kinds of issues. I've met such wonderful people who are truly doing compassionate action. I think people have a misconception that compassion is a wishy-washy feeling, and it's not. It's really, passion is part of the word, and people who really do embrace the concept of compassion act. So compassionate action is a real part of it, and it's anything but weak.
So what was the strength of this year's Compassion Games in Toledo, Ohio? Well, from September 9th to September 24th, 10,884 volunteers logged 48,609 hours, raising over $117,498. It's pretty astounding. You might be surprised. And it's not just the city of Toledo that is reacting to these results.
When I read in my emails last night that Summer Albertson, who is in Seattle and is one of the prime leaders of the overall games, she said, "Amazing amount of compassion and valuable action coming from Toledo. Wow, your community inspires me. I hope to come visit your community in the future. The world has so much to learn from your community. Game on." And I think, wow, it's just pleases me no end that we get some international recognition for the work that this community is doing. Not that the Multi-Faith Council is doing, not that Compassionate Community is doing. We're just recognizing what's there. It's why I'm so proud to be a part of Toledo. It's a wonderful community. Yeah, we have our warts, we have our problems, but we also have a lot of wonderful people that are working to make it a good home for all of us.
I'm Haley Taylor, and thanks for listening to this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries. Judy's choices for the next episode of the Rough Draft Diaries include
Nightingale Harvest is one that I think it's wonderful work. Another one that came to my attention during these games was the Miracle League. And then another one that isn't as well known, one of the Buddhist groups in town, the Flowing Water Sangha, does prison ministry.
You'll have to tune in next time to find out who I pick on the Rough Draft Diaries.